time, so it's nice to have a gig at home where I get to go to sleep in my own bed, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I fly all the time. I should be the best at flying, and I'm not. I'm like kind of the worst. I don't have TSA pre-check. Yeah, I know. I should have it. I should totally have it. And I don't have it for a dumb reason. I don't have it because you don't just buy it online. If that was the only step, I would totally have it. That's why I have every dumb thing I have in my house. It's because I had too many drinks and went on Amazon, and then 2 days later I go to my mailbox and I'm like, oh, I was sad 2 days ago. And now I have new coasters. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? I got brand new coasters. So if it was like that, I would totally have TSA pre-check, but that's not the way it goes. You gotta buy it online, then go to a building for an interview, and I don't do that. That's not what I do. I'll buy anything online, but you bring it to my door, okay? Amazon has ruined me as a human being. I'll buy anything online, but you bring it to my door, all right? I'm gonna answer it, I'm gonna be wearing a robe, it's gonna be open, all right? I'm gonna feel like a customer in this situation. But that's not the way it works. You gotta go, so I don't have it. So when I fly, I gotta be in line with everybody else. You know, people that fly once in a lifetime. You know, these people, they just show up to the airport covered in belts, just head to toe. Every belt they own. Like, what? I gotta take this off? Damn it, I'm wearing all of them. Or it'll be some lady with like boots up to their thighs, like, oh, you had to go to Hot Topic before this flight? You're gonna need a spotter to take that boot off. I wanna see that happen. Those are the people I'm behind, so I'm usually having a pretty bad time. And earlier this year, I was flying out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I was flying home, and it was early. It was 5 in the morning. And there's only 2 people in the security line, me and one lady in front of me. I'm like, cool, this is going to be fine. And it wasn't, because this lady in front of me was traveling with the most amount of food I've ever seen anyone travel with in my entire life. She just kept pulling snacks out of her carry-on. Just jams and jars and crackers and nonsense, to the point where me and the TSA agent locked eyes, and we just went, That's how much food she brought, that I had a non-verbal conversation with a stranger about it, where we just went, I guess. And then this lady, I'm not making this up, she pulled out a giant tub of cream cheese. A big vat of it, about that big, just plump. And that's when the TSA agent goes, ma'am, that's too much cream cheese. And I could tell she had never said that sentence in her entire life, all right? And she'd been around a while. Never had she uttered those words in that order. Ma'am, that's too much cream cheese. She'd never said that at a deli, not at Nana's house, never in her entire life. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how she knew it was too much cream cheese. I doubt they have a chart in the break room, like, hey, everyone's allowed this much cream cheese, but she clearly brought this much. She just goes, ma'am, that's 2 ounces too much cream cheese. And when she said that, she probably thought what I did, that this lady would just throw it away and we could go about our lives. We were dealing with a lunatic on that morning. Because what this lady did, I'm not making this up, she peeled off the lid and decided to finger out what she thought 2 ounces of cream cheese was and started flinging it into the trash. That's when, with my eyes, I said, I bet you didn't guess that's what was gonna happen. I bet you didn't guess that's what she was gonna do. That wasn't in your top 100 list of guesses. No way at 5 in the morning this lady's gonna peel off the lid and just start figuring out cream cheese like a sloth on National Geographic and just start flinging it into the trash. But that's what she did. Have you ever been up so early you can't react? That's where I was. It was 5 in the morning. I'm watching this lady fingering cream cheese. Everything in me was like, what in the hell is the matter with you? But the only thing that came out was, all right. I guess that's what we're doing. That's how today's gonna go. The worst part was I was behind her. She's ahead of me, all right? This lady is now covered in cream cheese, both hands. She went through the body scanner like that, just covered in cream cheese. All of her luggage covered in it, the x-ray machine, the little rubber flaps, cream cheese. All of my stuff's next. I'm behind her. I'm pushing it through that mess. I look up at the TSA agent. I'm like, I should sign up for that pre-check, huh? Shove my stuff in there. It's dangerous out there. That's what it's like traveling. There's a lot of danger, you know? That's most of my comedy right there. It's just observational, and then like, I go, I'm becoming evil, But that is a lot of my comedy. I just walk around and look at stuff, and I go, that's pretty silly. I'll talk about that. At that same airport with the cream cheese lady, I saw a cowboy at the airport, like a real one, like a full-on one. He had the hat and the boots, just the full. It's weird to see him there, Like, I know cowboys fly, but at the same time, you're like, this isn't how you travel, It's still bizarre, like, it's weird. It's like anytime you see like an Amish person, like outside of a postcard, you're like, what are you doing out here with the rest of us? Get back on my refrigerator, So anyway, full-on cowboy, this dude. He had the hat, the boots with the dirt, the Wranglers, just that kind of walk. He had the dip, the tobacco in the front. Is that not the manliest look on the planet? You're like, dude, you see that in another car, and you're like, yeah, that's your parking spot. Because that's terrifying. This dude was just exuding testosterone. He's like the manliest, just like a Chernobyl of testosterone. Just wafting into the air. He was walking by women. They were getting pregnant. That's how much was coming off of him. Wasn't even his fault. They should have taken a healthy step back, all right? They smelled his pheromones coming, all right? So anyway, full-on cowboy. The hat, the boots, the dirt, the Wranglers, the dip, the hit. And then in his hand, I'm not making this up, iced vanilla latte. I'd have paid $100 to watch that man order that latte. Can you imagine that? Just full-on cowboy? Madam? Can I get an iced vanilla latte? Do you do almond milk? That's how I order it, so I figure that's how that goes down. That's good out there. Yeah, cream cheese lady. Traveling's dangerous. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. I almost died in an Uber this year. That almost happened. I was in an Uber in Seattle, Washington, and I had an Uber driver stop on the freeway. And I don't mean he pulled over. I mean he brought it to 0 miles per hour on the interstate. And that's when I started screaming, which I think is pretty normal in that situation. I don't think I'm out of line or anything. I was screaming things like, hey, we're all gonna die. And that's when I found out he didn't speak any English. So that meant nothing to him. He just thought I was being rude back there. He's like, why is that guy screaming? I'm trying not to drive right now. This is how the whole thing started. I did a show at a club, and then afterwards I was gonna meet some friends at a bar in downtown Seattle. It's a place called the Crocodile Cafe. So I ordered an Uber, and because I'm responsible, and he shows up, and this is how I should have known that he didn't speak English. I got in, and he goes, you're going home? And I'm like, no, I'm going to the Crocodile Cafe. And he goes, you're going home. And like, I was gonna correct him, but I'm like, why? I don't care if he thinks I live there. Just take me to the thing on your phone, So he said, you're going home. I'm like, yeah, all right, I don't care. And then he pulls out, and his phone starts yelling directions at him in a language I've never heard in my entire life. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But at the same time, I don't need to understand that. As long as you understand whatever the hell that's saying, and it's taking us to the Crocodile Cafe / my house, we're good to go. So I'm not paying attention now. I'm out of the transaction. I'm just in the back on my phone, enjoying my life. And then we're on the freeway, and I just feel like we stop. And I look around, and I'm like, yeah, there we are. 1 in the morning, in the middle of the 5 South, right before you hit downtown, doing 0 miles an hour. And I started screaming, hey, we're all gonna die. But that doesn't mean anything, because the only English he knows is you're going home. That's all he knows. And he's pointing at his phone, and there was a fork in the road. That's why he had stopped. There was a fork, and he's like, and I'm like, you gotta make that decision doing 70. That's a call you make on the run. You just pick one. Even if you pick the wrong one, it's all right. We'll get a second chance. We can fix this. But you know how we won't get a second chance? We get plowed into from behind because you're doing 0 miles an hour on the interstate. It's not gonna be a fun accident. We're not gonna high five and exchange information. There will be a fire. So I'm screaming at him, and he finally starts moving. He starts going, and he eventually gets me to the bar. And as I walk into the bar, the first thought that came to my head was, I should have just driven drunk. I should have just drunkenly driven my rental car. And I know that's wrong. But I don't care how drunk I was that night. I wasn't drunk enough to stop on the freeway. I might have hugged another lane a little bit, but I wouldn't have brought it to 0 miles an hour. Everybody stop, there's a fork in the road. We're not going anywhere till we figure this out. So it's dangerous out there. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I don't want to make it sound all bad. There is good stuff out there. It's been a good year for me. This is my first year of acting like a real adult, so it's good, you know? I did a real adult stuff this year. I bought a couch this year. Yeah. I'm not trying to sound like I've never had a couch. I'm just trying to say I've never paid for one before, all right? You know what I mean? There's always been one around. Like, I remember the first place I ever moved into, my buddy and I, there was like a couch next to the dumpster, so we just picked that up, brought it into the apartment, sprayed some Febreze on it, and then a year later the lease was up, we were moving out, so we picked it up, put it back next to the dumpster, and I just thought that's how couches worked. But no, apparently there's a whole store full of them. You can just get a new one. So I got a new couch, that was cool. I paid my taxes this year. Never did that before. First timer. You know? And I'm not trying to sound like a tax cheat either. I've always filed my taxes, but all the other years the government was like, ooh, it looks like you need this. In fact, here's a little extra. We're worried about you. We don't know how you're getting by. Yeah. This is the first year they asked me for money, and just like that, I'm now a Republican. That's how that works. First 31 years, bleeding heart liberal. We got to help everybody. So this year, the government's like, you owe us $13,000. I'm like, oh, it sounds like the rest of you need to pick yourselves up by your bootstraps. I'm out here pulling the damn wagon, stuck behind the cream cheese lady. I almost died in an Uber in Seattle. This is my money. That's my favorite joke, because that's for everybody right there. That's a bipartisan tax joke right there. Because one side's like, oh, that's funny, he's being ironic, and the other side's like, he's seeing the light.